Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the Couch Media Corp channel again. My name is Andres, and I'm back on the blue couch as always, and I'm ready to talk about the Spider-Verse's latest entry, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. All right, so this one was another hard one to watch. This is, I don't know if this one is a little bit better than the first one or just as bad, but man, this was a tough watch. But that being said, let's get into some of the pros and cons of the movie.
Pros versus cons.
All right, so let's start off with some positivity. Let's start off with the pro side. So the first thing I'll probably say that I enjoyed a lot was the CGI. The CGI in this movie was very, very well done, and it blended in very well with the practical scenes. A lot of the scenes when Venom was a full character, it almost felt like if he was actually there. It almost felt like it was a suit that Tom Hardy was wearing, which is really cool, because sometimes with bad CGI, it just like throws you off, and then like you just can't even focus. Kind of like when like Black Panther had that bad scene at the end, or like the floating Iron Man head. It just throws you off sometimes, but this had some really, really good CGI, and I definitely enjoyed that. A lot of the scenes where Eddie was interacting with Venom, when he was like, you know, how he usually does, comes out of his body and like grabs things that are practical in the real life, it almost seems seamless. It's like it's actually, he's really doing these type of things. And I think they really did a good job this time with distinguishing the two different symbiotes, because I remember in the first movie it was just like a mess of like dark symbiotes, dark background, nighttime shots that just made everything like kind of blend in all together. At least when I was watching it in the movies, it made it seem dark as hell, like I just couldn't see what was going on. But in this movie, the CGI was a lot better, and I think the backgrounds also had a lot of different colors where it played into Venom and Carnage's character design. So it kind of helped it out. Like it kind of highlighted Venom and Carnage whenever they were doing battle or whenever they were in a scene together. There wasn't as many dark scenes with both of them. A lot of the scenes were kind of well lit, or if it was at night, it was underneath a light or in a kind of well lit area. So I think the CGI definitely helped, and I think they did a better job in kind of like showing off how Venom and Carnage looked. So I think that was definitely an enhancement from the first movie. Another pro that I liked, and it kind of goes with the first pro, is that Carnage was dope. His character design was kind of perfect, honestly. It was like, I didn't see no flaws in it. It was very well done, the CGI for that, going with what the first pro was touching on. The CGI for Carnage was very well done, and the different abilities he had compared to Venom was super dope. He was more brutal, and his like appendages and the things that he can create are lethal. Like they were meant to kill. There was nothing nice about it. The design for him though was awesome. He had, you know, the classic black shadow behind the white eyes, and I think the tone of red that they used, like kind of toned down red, like in the orange realm, was I think that was a good choice, because if they would have made him kind of like comic accurate, like bright red, I think he would have stood out too much in the movie, and it would have just been distracting. And a lot of the scenes that he had were dope. Like it was just brutal, just him tearing shit apart, and he was giving a beating to Venom. Yeah, Venom was on the brink of death at one point, and he was just laying it into him, and he was the total badass. Like he was an evil ass symbiote, and he just wanted death. Like you know, he wanted to kill his creator Venom because he wanted to be the only symbiote around, which is very murderous. And I think the voice they chose for him, Woody Harrelson, I think did it as well, and I think that one was perfect. Like it was dark, and you could understand what he was saying, and it just fit the character so well. So definitely that was one of the big pluses of the movie. I definitely enjoyed Carnage a lot. And another pro that might be a little weird is that the first movie helped this movie out a lot for me, because the first movie, it blindsided me. Like I didn't have no idea that they were gonna go that route with Venom, like to be like a freaking clown stand-up comedian where he's just joking all the time, and almost like if he was like a baby of the sorts, like a child. So that, like the first movie when I went to go watch it, that shit caught me off guard. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? So that was like the main thing that I had a problem with in the first one. But so like going into this one, it didn't make the movie as bad. Like I kind of expected him to be all goofy and shit like that. So there was a lot of scenes where Eddie and Venom were having their little back talk banter, and Venom actually had some funny ass comebacks and actually had some funny ass lines. There was one scene in particular where Eddie went to go meet up with Anne, his old ex-fiance, and Venom was with him at the time. So like they were talking and everything like that, and then she dropped the bomb on him and showed him that she was getting engaged. And then just like the inner thoughts of Venom were hilarious. Like, oh, he was like, oh, this is fucking horrible, and like I'm gonna go cry now, and like or like he was telling Eddie to be vulnerable and show her, go cry, you little bitch, or whatever like that. So it was they had a lot of funny ass banter moments, and more specifically when Venom started talking. Venom had some good funny ass lines throughout the movie, so that was definitely something I definitely liked. So this one was supposed to be a con when I first saw the movie, but when I got out of the movie, I was like, yo, is Venom supposed to be this fucking funny or like goofy as shit? So I did my research and turns out that Venom has always been kind of this way, kind of goofy, and had like funny one-liners and kind of like the dark humor type thing. So I changed my con and I changed it to being a pro, because at least they were faithful to the character. A lot of the stuff that Venom says is very on par with what he has said in the comics, because I had to do some reading. I had to read a couple issues and like do some digging on the internet, because I was just like, yo, I'm blown away how this is not Venom, but apparently he is Venom in the movie. So I appreciate them actually being faithful to the character. So I have to give him a plus for that. I can't knock him for that. They definitely really played up on his funniness, because I don't think he's that funny, you know. Like every fucking line is like he's being a clown and shit, but but in the comics he definitely has his one-liners and some like funny dark humor lines here and there. Kudos for them for sticking to the comics and kind of making Venom how he really is in the books. And my last pro, which is a major spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop the video now, go watch the movie and come back, or whatever you want to do, or skip ahead a little bit, because this is a spoiler that actually changes the trajectory of the character. So with that being said, Venom is in the MCU. Whew. That was actually the best part of the movie for me, the ending, the post-credit scene. That's crazy, right? This movie sucked. But yeah, Venom is in the MCU now. Isn't that amazing? So at the end of the movie, Eddie and Venom are on vacation, just chilling, hanging out, watching a soap opera in the bed, and they're having a conversation about keeping secrets and things like that. And then Eddie gets to asking, hey, do you have any secrets yourself, Venom? Like, I don't know anything about you, really. So then Venom was like, yeah, I have tons of secrets, and I've dealt with so many things in the galaxy or whatever. So he was just about to show him what like he's been through in his life and stuff like that. And then the multiverse kicked in, and that was dope as shit. It has like a little flash, a little white light, and then like almost kind of like a Passover, and then suddenly the room changes, the environment changes, the light is bright now, it's like daytime now, and then they're just chilling in the bed, and they kind of be like, oh, what the hell was that about? So then on the TV, breaking news comes in. They show J. Jonah Jameson talking about Spider-Man, and Tom Holland Spider-Man. So we officially have Venom in the MCU, which is pretty exciting, because Venom without Spider-Man doesn't make sense to me at all. It just feels off, and it feels like it doesn't belong, I guess. I don't know, that's just my opinion. He just feels like he shouldn't be existing without Spider-Man. So the fact that they actually merged him with Tom Holland Spider-Man and Marvel and Disney or whatever, that's an amazing thing, because I think Marvel is going to do an amazing job when it comes to handling Venom and Spider-Man together, because obviously Exhibit A, we have Spider-Man. Tom Holland Spider-Man is one of the coolest running Marvel MCU movies out right now. His first movie is amazing, second movie is amazing. I'm pretty sure the third one is going to be mind-blowing. Just by the trailer alone shows you like it's going to be insane. They're going to introduce so many dope things into the movie, into the multiverse. So I think that Venom coming over to the MCU is amazing. And now let's get on to some of the cons of the movie. I know I said that they did a good thing by staying faithful to Venom and kind of, being comic accurate, at least in terms of his personality. But after analyzing that and seeing that that's how he really is in the books, I don't like Venom. That's a con. I can't get behind his personality. It's too much. I know I said he had some very funny lines, which he did, but it was far in between. I think the movie's about like an hour and 37 minutes or something like that, and it's just him being a clown the entire time. Like, I'm fine with him having a couple jokes here and there and then being cool somewhere else in a different scene, but like, damn, bro, like, you have to be funny at all times throughout the whole fucking movie, even when like your life is on the line, or like Carnage is standing right in front of you, like, oh my god. And then he's like ruining serious moments with funny lines. Like, spoiler alert, Woody Harrelson's character Cletus actually dies in the movie. Eddie's with Venom together, and you know how he does the half face, so he's talking as Eddie. He's talking to Cletus, Woody Harrelson's character. They kind of have like an emotional moment where Cletus is saying that all he wanted in life was a friend or whatever, and then the moment is ruined by Venom just being like, fuck this guy, and then he bites his head off. I'm like, oh my god, can you let this shit rock for a little bit, man? Like, every single moment was just him trying to be funny at all times. So I guess that means I don't like the character of Venom, just in like the character itself. I think I just fell in love with the actual design of Venom, and that made me think he was something else, I guess, back in the days, because I didn't have too much knowledge of who Venom really was, like personality-wise. But coming to find out that he's actually kind of like a clown like that, and then the movie's just taking that and like timing it by 1,000, just really was like, ugh, it was just too much, man. Like, an hour and 37 minutes of him being a fucking clown, payaso. Payaso is clown in Spanish. It's like, yo, I can't take that, man. So definitely Venom is a con for me in these movies. Another con was, believe it or not, Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's character doesn't do shit for me in these movies. In the first movie, I couldn't understand the word he was saying. And then in this movie, I couldn't understand the word he was saying as well. And like, in this movie, actually, some of his jokes were just fucking falling flat, you know? Like, it was just not funny at all. And I don't know, his character just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I don't feel anything for him. Like, he doesn't make me feel any type of emotion. I know this is just like a regular ass blockbuster movie, but there's a lot of MCU characters that are cool. Like, Star-Lord makes you feel stuff, and he's, Chris Pratt is killing it as Star-Lord. Like, there's certain characters in the MCU that you just like connect with and you want to see all the time. Just like how Iron Man is. That guy fucking built pretty much the MCU, and then Captain America conveys so much emotion and you actually care about him, and then when he dies, you're sad as fuck. But like, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock is just fucking like whack, yo. It's like so corny. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe I just don't like Tom Hardy as an actor like that. His portrayal of Eddie Brock is just so weak to me. Like, I could honestly do without him, man. Like, if they recast him, I wouldn't have no fucking issues. I think Topher Grace's Eddie Brock was better than Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, man. Like, at least I remember his fucking Eddie Brock. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but Tom Hardy is definitely a con in this movie. And the next con is probably all the cheesy shit that was going on in this movie. I think I'll be more specific when I say cheesy, like the classic Hollywood breaking news shit. Like, oh my god, this movie had like 7 breaking news moments, like, to explain the plot. No lie, I'm not kidding. Like, this shit had a lot, at least 4 or 5 breaking news moments to kind of like forward the plot. And wow, even in the ending that I thought was dope as shit, it had breaking news to explain that they were in the Spider-Verse again. Like, yo, like, oh my god, like, be more creative, you know? Like, have better writing, or just have a little more effort than just putting a fucking lazy ass breaking news story and then, like, explaining the next plot point. Like, oh my god, it was so bad. And then it just felt like, some of the scenes just felt like super cheesy, honestly. Like, some of the lines from Woody Harrelson was was like super cheesy and like classic old villain shit. And I guess I'll just put this in there too as another con is the writing. The writing for this movie, it made everybody seem like a bad actor. Like, I don't know, man. It's just the lines that were delivered and like, it just felt like it was just bad acting all over the place. Especially with like Woody Harrelson, actually, honestly. He had a lot of bad lines and like cheesy ass one-liners and shit like that. And he's an amazing actor. I love Woody Harrelson. He has a lot of dope ass movies. He has a lot of funny movies. So I know he can convey that emotion, and I know he can play any character he wants. But the script for this shit, or like the writing, man, it just made him seem like he was trash. And like even the side characters too, like Eddie's fiance Anne, or like her new fiance Dan, I think it was. Like, just the lines that delivered was kind of shit, and I don't know, man. It was just like bad writing all over. Like it was like a cheese fest. Like it felt like one of those corny kind of 90s, 80s movies feels, where everything was like kind of corny and like cheesy. I don't know if anybody feels the same way, but that's definitely how I felt throughout the movie. So yeah, definitely the writing was pretty bad. And then like another con probably was like the pacing of the movie. I just felt like everything was in like fast forward. Everything was moving fast as shit. Like especially like at the end, after the final battle, it just went into hyperdrive. Like they almost were like, oh, we gotta finish this movie quick. We gotta hurry up and finish this shit. So it just felt like it just went from one scene to the next, and then like it just felt weird. Like some of the transitions in the movie were weird too. Like in the beginning, they had a transition where Shriek was being transported to a hospital or whatever the fuck they were doing, and then they got into a car accident or whatever, and then she wound up at the hospital that they were experimenting on her on, and then it just like had a weird quick ass transition from her being on the bed and then going to like present day, and then like ending, like I said, the ending had a weird ass transition too. And like Eddie's just talking to some ducks and shit, and then the next thing they're in the fucking beach, and like it had a lot of weird transition and pacing issues for me. It kind of threw me off a little bit, and I kind of felt like this movie was like happening in its own like contained area. Like it almost felt like the events from the first movie never happened, and like everything that was happening in this movie was like it didn't impact shit. Like there was no real stakes to this movie. There was no danger of Carnage destroying the whole world or anything like that. It was just like a weird contained event. Like it didn't even feel like Venom was in trouble, you know? Like only when he was actually getting beat down and almost killed at the end. But like for the whole movie, it was basically like no stakes at all, no real risk or anything like that of like imminent destruction, which was kind of ass. Like they didn't really touch on anything that happened in the first movie. It just felt like that never happened. I know it was a quick ass. I know they touched on it a little bit. I'll give them credit for that. A little bit in one of the scenes where Detective Mulligan was talking to Eddie, and he was just saying, oh, somehow you were involved. You were the only person here at the rocket or all that shit. But other than that, like, that's it. There was no like, you know, nothing happened like in the previous movie, and in this one it felt the same. Like there was nothing happening. Like all this shit happened, and then like everything was fine. Like, you know, and nothing really happened. Nothing crazy happened. Like Carnage didn't really fuck anything up. Really, he just fucked up the prison that he escaped from, and that's about it. He didn't really fuck up anything. He didn't really cause havoc. He didn't let there be carnage. You know, like. It wasn't no crazy shit. I guess he caused some carnage when he was going to break out his girl, Shriek, from that insane asylum or that experimental hospital or whatever the fuck, St. Estes or some shit like that. So there was some carnage in there, but there was really no carnage. Like he really didn't do much carnaging around the city or anything like that. But yeah, there was no real stakes and there was no heavy hitting concepts. I know this movie is supposed to be fun or whatever and go and be just like a popcorn flick. Sometimes I just can't turn my fucking brain off that much, you know? Like I can turn my brain off a little bit, but like totally completely shut my brain off and allow stupid plot points and like dumb shit to happen and not affect me during the movie, like ew, or like what the fuck was that? Like, you know, that shit's corny. That I can't do. I just can't shut my brain off that much. So overall, I just couldn't get behind the movie, man. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. The movie was just ass, man. And I just couldn't I couldn't shut my brain off completely to enjoy the movie. And it's just, this movie just took the funniness and ran with it. And it just, I think that for me personally was a big problem for me. And then, like I said, with the con section, it was just too many like weak points in the movie. Nothing felt like it was in imminent danger or anything like that. So my final score for the movie, I give it 1 point better than the first movie, which was a 5 in my eyes, the first one. So this one will be a 6. Hey, go watch the movie, form your own opinion about it, but I just didn't like the movie, man. I couldn't do it. And honestly, I hope they don't make a part 3. But they probably will, because this movie has broken all the fucking box office records since the movie theaters have been open, which is mind-blowing to me. And there's so many other better movies coming out. Like Dune is about to come out, and that shit should fucking run circles around this movie, and I hope it does. But knowing how the theaters work and how people work, that movie's probably gonna flop because it's not Marvel and it's not a fucking superhero action explosion bullshit happening. But that's neither here nor there. That's another topic for another day. But yeah, I didn't like the movie, guys. Hopefully Disney handles him better, and hopefully they write him better, and hopefully they get rid of Tom Hardy and cast somebody else, because his Eddie Brock is fucking trash. Hopefully when they start mixing him with Tom Hardy and his character and his Spider-Man, it will elevate the character and make me like him, because I want to like all this stuff, man. I don't want to hate on anybody's work, and I don't want to hate on anybody's movies. But if it sucks, it fucking sucks, man. I appreciate all the hard work you guys put into the movies, and that's why I go watch them. But after you have my money already, and I can talk shit if the movie's bad. So I will. But yeah, like always, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share the channel with your friends and family, or with people that might be into this content. Subscribe if you're into this content as well. I would really appreciate it. And comment what you guys thought about the movie. Did you love it? Did you feel the same way as I did? Did you hate it? What do you rate this movie? Leave it in the comments below. Do you want to see a third Venom after this? And what will be some of your ideas for a third Venom movie? Are you excited for Venom to be in the MCU now? Because I definitely am. So, that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And until I see you on the next video, peace.